Under further reviews, back at you. We have a good one today. So this is on the eve of the NFL draft. I think what we're going to do is recap the NFL draft next week. We'll talk a little NBA playoffs this week because we're in the heat of the first round. And we'll see how the draft goes tomorrow night, because by the time this episode gets out, probably doesn't make sense for us to preview the draft. But NBA playoffs have been fun so far. I think there's been a lot of personal questions from our local team. Just watching, especially Game 2 at Madison Square Garden, and our local team is the New York Knicks that are in it. Before we get into the conversation, I do want to point out there, we do have a YouTube page. It's under further review on there. We've had some awesome interviews over the last few weeks. Last week specifically, we had Christian Benford of the Buffalo Bills. We also had Jarrett Carabas, who has the Section 10 podcast and the Baseball is Dead podcast. But even before that, we had NFL guys like Skylar Thompson, who's a quarterback on the Pittsburgh Steelers. We also had Cesar Ruiz, who's with the New Orleans Saints, and Quentin Lake of the Los Angeles Rams. I still want to go back to the St. Louis days. The St. Louis Rams, that was the glory days of them with Marshall Faulk and Kurt Warner.
Great uniforms.
Yes, they should have never changed those, honestly. No. Those were great. But yeah, let's talk NBA playoffs. Let's specifically talk the Knicks Pistons, because I think, Joe, I know you definitely watched it. John watched it, right?
Yeah. And I'm actually one of those self-hating Knicks fans that just will pick apart any little thing. So Game 2 to me was almost like music to my ears, just watching everything that I thought would happen in the series, and specifically in that game. I mean, I went in 5 minutes before the game. I see that stat with that referee. The Knicks have like a 30% win percentage when he drafts. I was like, oh, this is going to be terrible. And it ends up not being the best.
It happened last year, too. So every game in the Sixers series, and even in the Pacers series, I remember just going on X and just seeing some of the Knicks pages, and they always put the officiating. And if the officiating was in the favor of the Knicks, almost every time, or probably every time, the Knicks won. And then if we had a ref like Game 2 of the Pistons series, then even last year, the Knicks had a hard time during those games. But there was a huge disadvantage. First, let's start with this. Are you a Nets fan?
Me?
Yes.
So, no. I grew up going to a lot of Nets games, but I wouldn't say, like, growing up, I really wasn't a Nets or Knicks fan. Like, I watched, and, when I was playing basketball until I was, like, 14, I would say the Nets, the Jason Kidd Nets, were probably the predominant team around here. So you had to watch that. Him, Vince Carter, RJ, even before that, Kerry Kittle, Sam Cassell, all those guys. I mean, they had the pretty much the predominant team in the area for a good amount of time after the 90s Knicks fell apart.
Yeah, and all to get blown out in the NBA Finals. Who they
every time?
The Lakers,
running into the Spurs and then the Kobe Lakers.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, that's a tough matchup. Right
they
there.
also won the worst conference that's ever.
Yeah.
No,
it was
the East has never been worst, and the West has been better since 2 decades before we were born.
Yeah,
I don't think I ever remember a year where the West was not much deeper than the East.
Yeah. Well, how crazy was the West in the early 2000s? Like, you had the Trailblazers, the Kings, the Lakers, the Spurs,
Jazz.
Who else? The list goes on.
Yeah.
Almost every team was just powerhouse and high offense teams. That's when it really started to take off after the late 90s. Once we got into the early 2000s, offense became a primary part of the NBA game.
The parity returned after Jordan retired.
Yes,
it gave way for like Kobe to shine, and for all these like secondary stars that were living in Jordan's shadow to basically finally get their due. And I hope that kind of happens with LeBron retiring now. It looks like the game has a lot of young superstars, and the game knows definitely how to market them, but just I don't know. There's something going on with the whole thing where the game off the court is now becoming more important than on, and I don't know how you guys feel about that. It makes for the season to go for forever. But let's get back to the basics of the on-court field play being the best part, because that's really what sports is.
I'm curious what happens to the NBA. We've had this conversation before. There's not really a face of the NBA after LeBron James leaves.
I don't like the alternate jerseys. I don't like the painted courts. I don't like the 3D logos. I don't like the music. Just go back to do what the Knicks do. Just have 3 or 4 different organ riffs, a couple of drum beats, and a few crowd chants. Like, you can play music during timeouts, but the fact that it's playing while like there's a possession going on, regular season maybe just to keep people's attention, but during the playoff game, it's nuts.
It still is, though, compared to the other sports, like especially baseball. It's easy to watch your team. You don't have to jump through hoops, I feel like, where like there's Amazon Prime, Apple Plus. You either have TNT, ESPN, ABC, or like your local network for the most part.
Or Stream East for everything.
Yeah.
That's
LeBron uses it. It's good enough for me.
It's wild what the NFL does. Like every playoff weekend, there's like probably 4 or 5 channels that you have to even subscribe to.
Yeah.
It feels like, you know, Peacock, I know, is one of them. Amazon Prime for Thursday Night Football. You know, there's always the ESPN game, the Channel 5 game, the Channel 2. So like it's just everywhere. Like you said, they kind of condense it for the NBA playoffs, and it's going to be a big shame when TNT doesn't have it anymore, just because of the halftime crew and the pregame, postgame group, because they're entertaining. And we want to talk ratings right now. Obviously, for years, it's been NFL way up here. And then, you know, I feel like Tier 2's kind of been the NBA. MLB's kind of fallen off, unfortunately. But NBA, like certain playoffs when it was entertaining, the NBA would keep up with, you know, NFL's obviously not going on, but it was as good as it will get, you know, as close to what the NFL brings to America, the NBA would get. But right now, it just doesn't have that feel anymore, and that's been a big conversation throughout the season is how far off the NBA has fallen. And I'm just curious, and I know we wanted to talk playoffs, but I feel like this is a good conversation here. I'm curious what you even do in this situation, because once LeBron retires, you don't even have a face of the game. They are making a lot of changes to kind of go with the flow of what the current society is. Joe, you mentioned that with like all the music and stuff like that. And I think that's because a lot of people can't keep their attention for a full game. And that's unfortunately why baseball has fallen off, because it's a slower game and people don't want to sit through that. People don't want to sit through a 2-1 pitcher's duel.
Are you trying to procrastinate talking about the Knicks? This seems like a very oddly broad topic. You brushed off that Knicks loss pretty quickly.
He's looking forward to game 2.
Yeah, I know.
Game 3 real hard.
We started talking about the 2002 Blazers before we talked about the Knicks. So I'm wondering where we're going.
If you want to talk the playoff series, Michael Beasley said that the Palace is going to bring more energy than the Garden did. What's your thoughts on that? Yeah, crazy to me, but he talks so much trash. But he backs it up with that 3-point shot.
They had the best in-arena announcer. That guy's iconic. But I think we even talked before the playoffs. Between the Bucks and the Pacers, like I still stand by the fact that I'd rather have the Pistons than those two. I know the Bucks got their asses whooped game 1, but Dame looks like he can create his own shot again. He looks like he can still get to the rim and make his shots. Brook Lopez continues to be the most underrated player in the NBA, and Lord knows, you know, I don't think we can keep up the Pacers offensively. But Steve and John, I've been studying the internet's social media sphere the last couple of days, and I've noticed a very alarming trend. I think people are starting to turn on Jalen Brunson a little bit.
Yes,
he's starting to get that flopper label. It's starting to get that Trae Young, James Harden sort of feel to it. He's a Nepo baby. So I don't know. I don't like what I'm seeing both from the series and what people are perceiving of Jalen Brunson.
Well, somebody wrote, I forget what the account was, but they said it's gotten to a point where every play he's looking for a call. And that takes away from liking a player. And it sucks because we should be talking about Jalen Brunson winning the award for Clutch Player of the Year and being probably at this point a top 5 talent, if not a top 7, 8 talent. He's up there, but we can't have that conversation. And as much as I love Jalen Brunson, and I'm a big fan of what he says during post-game interviews, and he's always calm and collective, and he's super supportive, always has the right things to say. I coach baseball, and I read one of Jalen Brunson's quotes after game 1 about campaign. because campaign went off, and he wasn't like that all season, you know? So it just seems like this guy is a great face of an organization, and he was perfect for New York City. But it's a shame that it's getting to a point where when he doesn't get a call, he's looking at the ref and kind of talking to the ref, and then he's falling all over the court without like being barely touched. And yeah, I mean, I noticed it last year during the playoffs, and I kind of rubbed it off as this is a superstar getting playoff whistles, and it's kind of the same with Joel Embiid during the Sixers Knicks series. But now it's just getting to a point every time he has the rock, he's looking for a call, and even on defense at times, you set a screen, he's falling to the ground, stuff like that, and that's where like people miss kind of like that early '90s physical basketball compared to today, where last night LeBron James falls to the ground and he's covering his eyes, and then he looks up real quick to see if his act is working, and then all of a sudden when he realizes the refs aren't going to blow the whistle, he gets back up and asks for help. So
I think once you're over 38, you're allowed to do that.
Yeah.
I don't mind that as much.
38, and how many games has he played? He's probably played more games than any 38-year-old ever has.
Yeah,
So,
there's a lot of tread on those tires. So I'm not gonna hold against LeBron completely. And Jalen Brunson's like 120 pounds soaking wet. So in a way, I don't. And by the way, I'm not a hypocrite because I never held it against Trae or James Harden. Like the rules dictate it, go for it, even if it's not the best product to watch.
Yeah, but didn't they say that like lean-in thing that he does was going to get taken away, or it did get taken away, and they still call it for Brunson every single time?
Well, that's a Harden staple.
I was gonna say that's James Harden's number one.
Mm-hmm.
But they talked about either taking it away or they did take it away. I remember that was a conversation of last year's playoffs, because whenever he would drive to the hoop, he stopped suddenly so that somebody can run into him, and then he just throws up that circus shot so he can go to the free throw line. And a lot of people were upset because they're like, wasn't that supposed to be taken away from this game? And he gets it every single time. The other thing that he does, and we saw it in game 2, is he'll pump fake, and when the person's leaning into him at the three-point line, he'll like lean into them so that they make contact and then throw up the shot. Which, if it's in the rule book, I'm not reading over the NBA rule book. I know that it used to be a call, and from game 2, it's saying that it still is a call. Yeah. And if you can get away with it, then you can get away with it. But like, what fun is that? Because the whole point of the game is to try to play defense, and we talk about how the NBA is becoming too offensive heavy, where these guys don't man up on people, and they're afraid to make contact, and they just let people drive to the hoop, or they give the open 3-point shot. And a lot of people are like, we just want defense. We want a little effort from these guys. And I don't think people realize how fast this game goes, and that these guys are actually trying for the most part. But also at the same time, it's like, if you're going to do those type of things where you pump fake and the person's actually trying to play defense on you, and then you're going to draw a foul, then it's going to kind of take away from the game, in my opinion. That's just me.
And it's just a low percentage too. Like, how many times is that really going to work? 1 out of every 11, and the other 10 are going to be turnovers, probably. But it all comes back to, with Brunson, guys, the whole thing of, why is he doing this? He feels he doesn't trust his teammates. He feels like he has to do it himself. And I'm not saying he's 100% wrong, because, I mean, you listen to any radio show, they're going to say Jalen Brunson's the only person that doesn't know, or on the team that can create for himself. But you got to trust your guys. It's the NBA playoffs. You got to move the ball. You got to play defense, and you got to be there. I mean, having Karl-Anthony Towns sitting in the corner, which whether that's Tibbs or whatever, is not great. I mean,
decision.
Towns, he is what he is, guys. Like, I'm not a big fan of who he is, but he's a great basketball player. Why not, if not create? Put him in the post. If he gets beat up, it's on him. But don't hold anything back. Like, if they do, they're going to lose in 6 games. It's that simple.
I get the feeling that you don't think last night's, because I don't think he had much more than like 5 shot attempts in the second half, right? Yeah. He finished with 10.
Well, that's on him.
Like,
though.
I think that was more just the way the game flowed. Like, I don't think he was being passive.
But again, how does a superstar just do that?
Disappear.
Though? There's only one guy. It's Brunson.
Also, game 1, he had the ability to back down players, and that's why he was pretty good in game one. What the Pistons were doing, which was pretty smart, was they said first off they said we're going to let Brunson beat us, and we're going to take the other guys out of this game. But when Cat tried to back down a defender every single time, a second guy rotated in, and he almost got double teamed the whole night. And then he had to ditch it out. And I think it kind of got to his head where the second half he was hanging out around the 3-point line and looking for a shot, because that was the only way that he could create a shot. And if the Pistons are going to do that this whole series, then I mean, OG better step up.
Exactly.
Bridges better step up. Hart better step up. And in game two, Bridges had a decent game, but the rest of the guys weren't making consistent shots. But also, like, and I'm going to get back to this.
Where is Deuce McBride?
Yeah.
Where is that motherfucker?
He made a few 3-pointers in game two.
Yeah, but he's a spark plug guy, man. I mean, again, that's in coaching. You got to know when to enter, put that guy in the game, and know where he's going to go balls to the wall, gives you 12 points in 5 to 6 minutes. And then if you have to take him out, you take him out. But he gives you guys a spark. The momentum in playoff basketball is almost as important as, momentum as a starting pitcher the next day.
I agree. But I mean, Campaign getting 3 fouls in 2 minutes was just detrimental to their rotation.
All the fouls in game two, the whole foul thing for the Knicks and against the Knicks it was not good, not conducive to winning.
Well, let's talk about that, because at one point it was 20 free throw shots to 4.
In the fourth quarter game.
In the Pistons' favor. There were a few, and I know I'm talking about Brunson. That's my guy, by the way. I think they got a little physical with Brunson towards the end of the game because they knew they could get away with it.
Oh, absolutely.
But the one thing that so there was a few missed calls. The biggest one, in my opinion, was Josh Hart going up for a dunk and getting slapped in the back of the head. That's a flagrant one right there. So not only does he finish the dunk, I think he gets a free throw, and then the Knicks get the ball back, right? That's the rules of the flagrant one.
Well, late in the playoff game, I don't think they're calling that. But at the very least, the end one.
Yeah, it would be.
Anytime
points.
There's head contact, they're calling it. I remember a few times in the playoffs they've done that.
If it's egregious and they're trying, I don't know, that's more of a judgment call. But
I don't think Josh Hart's getting that call.
That's a tough call at the end of a playoff game.
And is it not a little early for Cade Cunningham to be getting superstar calls in the playoffs? He got that the other night. Every time he drove, he was going to the free throw line.
Yeah, I also feel like he can get by everybody on our team. And I noticed that in game one, even though he wasn't finishing, I was like, this is not a good trend. He can get to the rim whenever he feels like it.
Yeah, the Knicks can create, or just they're not going to be able to play a full 2-3 zone, but if they can figure out a way just to have them shoot, they'll win almost every game.
Well, if Cunningham can,
I don't expect Tobias Harris to.
No, he's Tobias Harris. His knee's going to give out any minute anyway. So.
This is the best he's looked since he was on the Clippers.
Yeah, but do you expect
nuts?
Do you expect Schroeder to do what he did in game two the whole series?
No.
So I was talking to Mike, who is usually on our recordings, and he said he thinks that the Pistons gave us their best shot in game two, and they barely won. So I don't know if you guys are believers of that.
Yeah, but going back to the whole thing, I mean, if you're a Knicks fan, you kind of have to be happy that the Lions have done so well, because if not, there'd be so much pent-up aggression at this game. When's the game? Tomorrow night?
Yeah, yes. Tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow night. These fans are ready, and I actually kind of agree that though what's it now? Is it still the same name?
Still the Palace. Yeah.
Is it still the Palace? Yeah, the Palace is going to be nuts, guys. Get ready, strap up.
They have home court advantage.
Yeah.
Right now. Winning that game gave them home court advantage. Yeah. And I don't think there could have been a worse game for the Knicks to lose. Game one, if they come out firing and the Pistons take game one, then I'm all right, Knicks got to come back and play their style of basketball game two. But the fact that the Pistons took game two and now are heading home, that has me a little concerned, is now they have the momentum going to their home court. So it was the same thing last year where the Knicks struggled in Indiana. It felt like whenever they got to MSG, they would almost blow out the Pacers, except for Game 7, because the Pacers were shooting 75% in the first half, which is unheard of. But outside of that, the Knicks pretty much took care of business at MSG. It was whenever they got to Indiana, they had a hard time. And I do think, the Knicks feed off of the energy of MSG. How can you not? It's all the former players are there. The celebrities are there. The every time there's a huge dunk or a big 3-point shot, that place just erupts. So like it's going to be tough at the Palace. I don't. I'm curious how the Knicks are going to respond. I'm kind of nervous about what we're going to see from the Knicks.
Do we
What do
know
you
who's
guys
on the
think?
call? Is Reggie on the call?
Oh God, I hope Hart goes up to him again.
Yeah.
What are
By
your
the way,
keys though?
did you see how
No.
Myles Turner's doing? I have to
Tonight
mention
or
Myles Turner every
No.
single podcast.
yesterday? Right?
Yeah, that guy's the new Robert Ory. He's shooting
Just
55% from
playoffs.
three,
Oh my
60%
God.
from the field. He killed us last year. He might
Yeah.
be the greatest postseason performer I've ever seen.
Ever? Wow.
He's one of the biggest playoff risers I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, and he didn't even crush the Bucks with his 3-point shot last night. He just went inside the post. It looks like he went 6 to 10
I
from the
know it's
field.
only 14 points a game, but it's a terrifying 14 points a game. And
Let's
there's
see
a
what
reason.
Jimmy Butler does this year.
Yeah. He's off to a good start.
I know.
Well, also, like the Pacers had 6 guys hit double digits, and that's the style of basketball that they play. Like, no guy's going to
Yep.
go off for 40 points probably, but you're going to get Siakam with 24 points like last night. Naismith's going to use the 16 that he gave you, 21 from Halliburton, and the 12 assists. I mean, Mathurin had 14 off the bench. Like, it's going to be very hard to stop a team when everybody's clicking like that. And they shot 49% as a team. That's pretty damn good. We're talking 75% last year in game sevens, unheard of. I mean, shooting around 50% as a team. Joe, how often does that happen, would you say?
62% of the time, it does not happen.
Okay. I mean,
I don't know.
the Bucks shot 50% last night, so maybe I'm wrong by saying that, but that's the biggest mystery to me is
Depends how many threes you take.
Yep.
yeah, exactly. But the biggest thing that to me, and I know he had a double last night, but what has happened to the Bucks and Giannis's ability to carry a team to a championship? Because that's kind of what he did when they won the finals that one year. Is he just willed them? He was the superstar that we know he is. And
Giannis is doing just fine. I don't know if you looked at the box score.
do you think it's just he doesn't have anyone around him? I mean, it was pretty embarrassing in game one. Kyle Kuzma didn't have any points, I don't think. I think there was one other starter who didn't
I
score a
took him in
bucket.
DraftKings. I'll take the blame for that one.
Yeah. Maybe you should
Yikes.
start taking some Pacers players, Joe.
I mean, I took Aaron Wiggins last night. He had 8 points in 7 minutes, and then they never put him back in. So
That's such bad luck.
I know it's ridiculous, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like my opinion on the Bucks is about 2 or 3 years behind. I still, for some reason, imagine them as this like elite defensive team.
Yeah.
They could sure use a guy like Drew Holiday right now. That would be nice. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe the Pacers are legit because they do seem to score like 115 points on everybody. But I could be proven wrong. Maybe I should finally give up that the Bucks are a scary team. But I still feel like they have a puncher's chance if Dame is healthy.
Yeah, Dame has to play his game.
But if Giannis is still getting a 36 and 20, that's no different than when he won the title. He just had, Chris Middleton near his prime and Drew Holiday near his prime, which is a huge, huge gap to fill.
Yeah, he's got no one
Damian
pushing him.
Lillard's, yeah.
That's really all it is. If he has like you said, the Drew Holiday guy,
yeah.
and he's like, I don't know if you guys feel this way. I just feel Giannis has just been comfortable, just getting his 36 and 20 and whatever, which is fine. Don't get me wrong, but like, do you want to win or what are you trying to do, dude? Like, I know your team's not that great and your coach is, well, we know what your coach is,
Yeah.
but still, I mean, you're Giannis.
That's NBA champion Doc Rivers, by the way.
It is.
His son is the one who called out the NFL guys, right?
Yeah.
Stirred it up.
That was on McAfee, wasn't it? And then he
Maybe?
had like,
I thought it was
yeah,
social media.
It was something, yeah. It was pretty whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. It's just like just trying to get your name out there.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's a
He has a
non-argument.
podcast, right?
Yeah, I'm sure he does.
Yeah,
Either that
it's
or a
a
children's book like everyone else.
it's a
It's a good
non-argument
way to
that.
get exposure. You get both leagues talking about you.
Yeah, that's what it
Absolutely.
turned into. It was weeks and weeks of this conversation. Everybody talked about it. Every sports podcast talked about it. Every sports show was talking about it. So he did something right there.
In
How
my
about the?
opinion, is that NFL players can translate to the NBA a lot easier than the other way around. Michael Jordan always said Lawrence Taylor was the toughest guy to ever guard him. So
I
I
can see
feel
that.
like, yeah, I feel like that kind of athleticism. Whereas a lot of NBA guys will just get broken in half. I feel like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
but can they put the ball in the bucket? Those NFL guys.
Um, I think
Yeah, they're dunking almost every time.
Yeah, that's what it would turn into
it'd
essentially.
be a skill to work on, but I think the raw athletic talent maybe. I just feel like the NFL there's so much more baggage you got to deal with injury wise or physicality wise. I don't know.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree that, and there's probably a lot more like in between prep work that they have to do. I mean, you remember that quarterback show on Netflix?
And that's
Kirk Cousins?
assuming you're above like 6'2". Like obviously, I don't think like Austin Eckler could be an NBA guard.
No.
But
No shot. But I think Austin Eckler can probably dunk because he's just an athletic
Yeah,
running
absolutely.
back who can probably
Most of those
leap.
guys are absurd dunking.
Yeah. But going back to the Bucks, just knowing what you know, and Bobby Portis actually had a pretty good game too. 28 points, 12 rebounds. Do you think it's time to kind
he's
of?
probably their third or fourth best shot creator.
He definitely is. It would probably be Giannis, Dame, and then Portis, in my opinion. Kuzma has to show it more often. Do you think
At all.
Do you think the Bucks are at a point where if they get eliminated by the Pacers, especially if it goes where it's trending, where it could be a 4-0 or 4-1 type series, do you think it's time to blow up this team?
Yeah, they're not. They're old and they're not very good. That's a bad combination. And Giannis, he does have a lot of basketball skills, but I think a lot of what he does is due to his athleticism, and he's on the wrong side of 30. So is this just a case where Giannis goes elsewhere, or is he truly going to be loyal? Because, Damian Lillard was sort of the poster child for that for the longest time of like, I'm in a small market. Not that Milwaukee's super small, but, I'm loyal and I'm going to stay here. And maybe it's different because Giannis has won a title. But, yeah, it'll be entirely predicated on whether Giannis leaves or not. Because if he stays there, there's always going to be that underlying pressure of, all right, Damian Lillard at this stage of his career is not enough. Brook Lopez is going to be going. My GOAT, Brook Lopez, he's starting to age out of his role a little bit. So how are you going to replace, the extra production in the front court? But I think next year will be this offseason will be pretty pivotal because even if they somehow get by the Pacers, I don't know.
It's up to Giannis.
Are they really beating the Cavs? Probably not.
Hasn't
No,
that
I
always
don't
been the
think so.
case for the Bucks though? Like even when Giannis got there to the NBA Finals, like Middleton was already there. They already had Drew Holiday. Like these were guys that came through the franchise, but I don't think a small market like Milwaukee has ever been able to get the big guy to join Giannis, and he's starting to realize that because he wants more out of his team. He's about to face his third straight first round elimination. That's got to be pretty frustrating. It's to the point where I don't even think the relationship between the front office and Giannis has been like 100% like positive this whole time. So I'm sure Giannis loves the city of Milwaukee because it's the team that took a chance on him. But I'm also pretty positive he'd be okay going to a team that either has a superstar or has a playoff foundation in place, and one where, like Joe, you mentioned, will take on someone who's on the other side of 30, but still has several probably pretty dominant years left in him. He's shown it now. He just has to stay healthy, but he can still put up 30 on any given night. He's still going to get you 10 plus rebounds. What more can you ask for from a player?
He's in the spot Durant was in when Durant left Golden State. If Durant stayed healthy, he probably would have won at least one championship, you figure, with the Nets.
Yeah.
I mean, he had to take 2020 and 2021, and no one saw that coming either. But, I mean, no one wants to go to Milwaukee, guys. It's Milwaukee, and the best way to rebuild is through getting as much as you can when your guy is still pretty good. Like, Giannis is still, the 36 and 20 pretty much every night. And that's going to be like that for the next, at least 2 years. So if you're Milwaukee, you kind of have to. And then take your chances in the lottery and then build.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that about the 21 Nets, because people like to act like that was a failure. But if they were healthy,
they're a toe away. They're a toe away.
With Kyrie and James Harden injured, and they beat the Bucks by 40 the game before Kyrie got injured.
Yeah.
So Giannis is still ringless if they were healthy.
Absolutely. Forgotten history.
It was a failure because that wasn't supposed to be a one-and-done type season for that team. It wasn't supposed to get to the point where Kyrie's now on the Mavericks, Durant's on the Suns, Harden's on the Clippers. That was supposed to be the type of team that even if they failed the first season to make it to the NBA Finals, that they were going to be back in it the next year and then the next year after that, because these were guys that were in their early to mid 30s and that they still had gas left in the tank. So in my opinion, injuries happen. It's a part of sports, and that's kind of what you have to accept when you sign these big contracts with these superstars. But I mean, to me, that Nets team was a failure. And luckily for them,
well, not on the court. Like broadly, yeah, you could say they were.
Yeah, overall they were a failure, but like
they didn't choke on the court. That's what I mean. Like it was
that team had so much adversity.
Yeah, and it's working out for them because how many draft picks do they have now? Like this Nets team's not going to be down forever. No. Hopefully, you have a few good drafts. Hopefully, the NBA is not looking at what the NFL is looking at this year, where it's a down year when you finally do get a lottery pick. But I mean, this year's NBA draft's pretty good. We'll see where the Nets land in it. I mean, Cooper Flag headlining is probably the best we're going to see in a while. I think that guy's the next face of the NBA.
Let's hold our breath. He doesn't go to Philly.
Yes.
That would be the worst thing in the world.
Do not want to see that.
No,
who knows?
That'd be bad.
Who knows if Embiid's even alive anymore? Like, is he going to be on that roster?
Yeah.
You remember last year in the first round, he had that. What was that face thing he had?
Did he get poked in the eye or something?
Yeah.
No, he had a condition. I'm not even talking poorly about it, but it was like that condition he had where your eye starts to droop a little bit.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I remember that. It wasn't Bell's palsy, was it?
Yeah,
I think it might have been. Yeah.
Was it Bell's palsy?
Yeah,
there was something weird I remember about that.
Interesting, but yeah, it happened the first round of the playoffs. I don't think it impacted his game because he was still making these incredible shots.
Yeah, good.
Let's talk. There's a few series I want to talk about. I don't know if we'll get to all of them, but this has been an age-old question all year, and I want to talk about it just because it's happening now. And so the Cavs erupted for 11 three-pointers in a quarter just now. That's incredible. I think that might have been a playoff record. Somebody will have to fact-check me on that, but I don't see many teams getting close to 11 three-pointers in a quarter. They're playing the Heat right now. The Heat are pretty down, in my opinion. I mean, they got rid of Jimmy Butler, who was their star. But, yeah, this is incredible. I mean, Max Struss is already at 4 of 6 from three-point land. They're shooting 60% from three. It's halftime. They're 14 of 23. I mean, you're not beating too many teams when they're shooting like that. But that reminds me of the who had 26 three-pointers right before they faced Duke. What was that team?
NC State?
No, Alabama. Alabama had 26 three-pointers in a game.
It was red.
And they went off. But, yeah, I mean, this is the year where, Mitchell's playing like his usual self. Like, you knew you were going to get that. The questions were more Darius Garland. Is he going to finally be that playmaker that you expected him to be? Evan Mobley started to show signs in the playoffs last year, and then he got injured. Is this the team that's going to compete with the Celtics? Like, what are your feelings on the Cavs? Like, they kept it together the whole year. They went 64-18. I think that's the same record the Celtics had going into the playoffs last year. So is this a team, like right now on paper and what you saw during the regular season, does it tell you that they can stick around with the Celtics, maybe even make it a competitive series? Or are you kind of under the belief that the Celtics are really deep and a team has to show me they can beat them since they're the defending champs? Like, what are your thoughts on that whole thing?
I'll keep it quick, guys. 3 questions. Are they tough defensively? Yes. Can they shoot the 3 well? Yes. Are they well coached? Kenny Atkinson's a hell of a coach. Are we going to see a Cleveland OKC finals? Something tells me the league will be very hard pressed for that to happen, but I really think Cleveland's got a very good chance to beat Boston.
So Celtics,
Very
Lakers, that's what's going to happen. That's what the league wants.
That's the dream, man. That
What's
would
best?
be the dream.
What's best for ratings right now? Like, what NBA finals ideally?
You need one of the European guys
Yeah.
to get the major mark. I'm serious. You know,
So are we talking the Nuggets?
the Nuggets or the Lakers?
Celtics, Lakers has got to be the
Yeah.
one they want.
Yeah.
If not Celtics, Warriors, or Warriors, anybody.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to love the ratings if that's what they get.
Yeah,
Steve, what'd you do?
Oh, you guys heard that?
that wasn't me.
Yeah, no, that was right outside my window.
Not
You might get
guilty.
another one. I live with the ambulance people, or they might be leaving soon to go rescue someone or something like that.
We're guilty with the sports facts. That's all we're guilty of right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Cavs are just so unproven to be this. They remind me of OKC last year, even though like Mitchell's been through it, and I guess they have been in the playoffs a few years.
They're boring.
Yeah,
That's
they have like
but they're good. Like, that's the scary thing.
out of nowhere though. Like this is.
Yeah.
I mean, what were they projected? Like 53 wins probably this year.
Yeah, they were a little bit ahead of the Knicks on like the predictions, I think.
Yeah, that's fair.
So this isn't anything like crazy, but the hot start was unreal that they had.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially
many-
after playing so many games last year.
Yeah, how many straight did they win to start the season? It was like
It's like
a big
14,
number.
right?
Yeah, 14,
It was
maybe
definitely
more.
double digits.
Yeah, it was double digits. But yeah, I think people start to find basketball to be boring when people play it the right way.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, I watched a lot of St. John's games this year, but St. John's played basketball like a traditional Big East team, and that's because that's what Coach Pitino is as a person. He wants defense in your face. He's going to play the offensive style where everybody touches the ball. And I think that's what you're kind of getting from the Cavs is, they realize that they're going to have to try more than everyone else because what they were doing last year or the year before that, even when they brought in Donovan Mitchell, wasn't working. So they came together as a team. And I think every person on this roster outside of Mitchell, because I think he just did what he usually does, took a step in the right direction. I mean, Garland's a facilitator. Looking at his stats now, he has 5 assists already, and it's about to be, it's halftime. Mitchell is good for a double-double, maybe even a triple-double every night. Mobley, another double-double guy. Allen's going to get you the rebounds. Like, they're playing as a team, and they're playing proper basketball, and I think that's why.
It's a Kenny Atkinson staple.
Yes, you brought him up. The more I talk about it, the more I realize he's a good coach. So, it's exciting to see what they can do. Hopefully they don't do what Joe mentioned, OKC he brought up, and OKC choked last season. But I also think that
They
was
didn't choke.
They're young.
That's what it was. They were just simply a young team. Do you guys want to talk about them a little bit? I mean, that's
Would
now.
you be excited for because you guys both are praising the way they play, and I think the Celtics are the same way. And if we're talking about ball movement 3-pointers, I think they set some records this year. It almost seems like Celtics Cavs will look like what an AI generated basketball game would look like.
Yeah.
Perfect spacing, perfect defensive stances, which is great. But like personally, I just enjoy shit shows in the playoffs. Like I think back to the last 5 minutes of the Warriors-Cavs Game 7. It was tied at 89 for like 4 minutes. It was just tight. No one could do anything. It was scrambling for balls, which is why Knicks-Pistons objectively is, even if I'm not a Knicks fan, that's my favorite series. It's just people flopping all over the place, and I don't know.
Energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Celtics play perfect AI basketball. It's not beautiful to watch, but it's efficient.
I just don't see how anyone's going to beat the Celtics. They're 9 or 10 deep, and all season, like look at a Knicks team who has to play their starting 35 plus minutes every single night, even in the regular season, is they don't trust their bench. I don't think he trusts his bench, and that's why he does it. But Thibs is known to kind of.
Would he trust his bench though? Ever?
I don't know.
Exactly.
But he's always been that type of coach where he just wears his starters out. But a lot of teams do it where, once they get to the playoffs, they're playing their starters every minute of the game. But the Celtics,
Tibbs has never made it to the finals. I don't know if that's a coincidence that his teams.
It definitely lines up with how he coaches.
Don't seem to last.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because he's always done it. He's always tired out his teams. And last year, I don't know if that Knicks team was ready for that type of workload. And it showed once they got to the playoffs. Just they had 4 or 5 guys who got injured. And for a team that already had depth issues, you couldn't afford to get those type of injuries. So this year, if it happens, everything's off the table for the Knicks. But to me, like the Celtics, they have the 6th man of the year. They have Al Horford. They have who else? Decker, right?
Sam Decker from
no,
Wisconsin?
Not Sam Decker. I'm messing up the white guys.
Derek White.
What White starts, right?
Yeah, he might be the best playoff player this year so far.
No, I'm talking about like we know what we're gonna get from Tatum, who's actually injured tonight, and they're still beating the Magic 78-66. But we know what we're gonna get from Porzingis. We know Holiday's gonna step up. White, Jalen Brown, but it's the Sam Hauserds, it's the Luke Cornett's, it's the Peyton Pritchards, it's the Al Horfords. That's 9 players that when they're on the court, I trust them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a little different than most other teams. You don't really see that in the NBA too often. When the playoffs come around, you're keeping your guys on the court because those are the guys you want. And I think that's why the Pacers can kind of be sneaky good. Is the Pacers go 10 deep even in the playoffs, and those 10 guys, I'm thinking Obi Toppin even. I talked about Mathurin. Those guys are going to give you quality minutes on the court. So why not? Why can't they be a competing team? They clicked. Their starting 5 all were in double digits last night, and they're all capable of doing it every single night. I think they could be contenders this year. And I think they started playing their best basketball at the right time, and it was the end of the season.
I feel like the Thunder go 15 deep.
Yeah.
Have you? Yeah.
They're almost crazy. Like a college, like an old school, mid 2000s college team, old school ACC college team.
Isn't that what
their second unit is a 7th seed in the East right now?
Isn't that what the Knicks missed the most? Is Isaiah Hartenstein? We saw they weren't getting offensive boards last night, and he was an offensive board machine in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, I mean that goes back to the whole thing with Karl-Anthony Towns. You know what you're going to get with him, but playoff basketball is not conducive to his style of play, even in today's more finesse game. It's
Jimmy Butler left.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy Butler completely punked him, guys. Let's be real. And if the Knicks don't get out of this series, it's going to be the second time Karl-Anthony Towns has got the same coach fired. And it's not 100% Karl-Anthony Towns' fault when it could, you can make an argument. It is Karl-Anthony Towns' fault that Tibbs got fired in Minnesota. And if the same thing happens here, which I don't want to have happen, I just wish Tibbs would get better, younger assistants. How long can Brunson's father? No offense, but is Brunson's father really the best asset that we can have right now coaching this team?
If we're playing the Timberwolves, yes.
Yeah, just because. What's
this guy get DiVincenzo's head?
Yeah, DiVincenzo will bust out a switch, but it's just the CAA Knicks have gotten to the point where they've gotten so far where you need a little bit of something else, I feel like, to take them over the mountaintop. And is Dolan and company willing to do that? That's the big question. I don't think they are.
Do you think DiVincenzo hits that three-pointer that Bridges missed the other night?
I don't think it's DiVincenzo is the problem.
Do you like the shot selection at the end of the game last night?
No. Why is Mikal Bridges having a freaking shot that looks like what's-his-face back in the day, Sean Marion? Like, we don't need to see that. There's still children watching. God.
Well, even the Brunson three after Bridges, after the Pacers went down the court and they made that three-pointer, Brunson comes down. He didn't need to take a three there. He could have.
It was desperate.
The hoop. Yeah.
No screens, no post-up. Well, you can't hold for a post-up nowadays. But yeah, just 15 seconds in the shot clock. Step back with a hand in your face. I know it's Jalen Brunson, but
that's the crazy part about that game and what the playoffs have been so far. Even game one where they had to come back, like they only played really a quarter of great basketball. But to me, what's shocking is we saw it a little bit in game one. I think the players were talking a lot about what Bridges brought. But defense is just such a big identity of this Knicks team, and they had no answer for Cunningham. And there was a lot of open shots that the Pistons missed the other night. So this game could have been, in my opinion, a lot more ugly than it was. But
is Suni Lee going to Detroit yet? If she's not, can we please get her there for OG Anunoby's sake? Have him lock him down, Cunningham. Just tell him you're on him, dude. 42 minutes. Enjoy.
How much? We got to get this episode out tomorrow morning just so we can start putting the word out that she needs to be there.
Yes. If you're not there, I don't think they play again until next month with the NBA schedule. So get there for next month when they play.
Yeah, I don't know.
The first round does take fucking forever.
So long. I think they're in Detroit for 6 days. Like, if you're the coach, would you almost fly back to New York during that break? I would.
I would have just left.
It would make sense, yeah.
I would just leave a day later. Like, I would have probably left today or something.
Yeah.
I would have
By the way,
it's
long for everybody except for Memphis, who, not that they wouldn't have lost by 50, but they played the late game on Friday night, and then they played the first game on Sunday. And I think they're the only series that doesn't have a 2-day break. They play every other day for the first 4 games.
Which is
interesting. I don't like that either.
They can go from winning the play-in to being swept in, I think, like a week flat.
Are we talking the Lakers?
No, Grizzlies.
I mean, that series is ugly. They were probably like, let's just get it over with because they knew it was going to happen. But what did they lose by in the first game? 50 points or something like that?
It was 46,
hours
I
at
think.
least. That's crazy. Yeah, 50 something.
50. Oh, it was 50 something. Like
Yeah,
that was the.
And
it was like 183 or 186 to something, right? I don't know.
Last night was better. They only lost by 25.
I was going to say. Yeah. But maybe by game 4 they'll lose by like 5 or something, and we'll be like, all right, Grizzlies were improving. I don't even want to talk about that series. That's just a bad series.
No, it's over.
I would love to talk about the Warriors though. Like, if they beat the Rockets, are you putting any stock in the Warriors or?
Yes.
Really?
Give me if they get past the Rockets, I will take the Warriors to get to the finals of the conference.
No shot.
Of the conference. Okay.
Yeah, conference finals. Yeah.
Okay.
Just because the desperation of that group, man. They're so in it.
Would it be the Lakers next?
No, the Warriors.
No, who would they play next though? Would it be
Lakers or Timberwolves?
They would beat the Lakers. I really think they would beat the Lakers.
More importantly, they don't have to play OKC until the conference finals. So.
And they would get rolled just because OKC would run circles by them. It would just be a track meet.
If the Clippers win, though, they have 1998 Michael Jordan on their team now. He's healthy. I'm not saying that I'd pick him, but...
Dude, he's one sneeze away, though, from missing a game.
I know.
You know that.
I know.
Well, what happened last year, Joe?
The fact that he's played 2 straight playoff games is a beautiful thing to watch, though.
Yes.
Because last year he looked pretty fucking similar against Dallas, and I think the year before against Phoenix.
And we're talking about Kawhi Leonard, for those that don't.
Kawhi Leonard, yeah. No, not 1998 Michael Jordan.
Yeah, no.
He
Or what was
out
he?
of retirement.
Did you ever play that Kobe Bryant game, NBA courtside, where he was numbered 98 or something
No.
on the Bulls? Oh my God, it was so funny because he came back in the middle of that season. They couldn't make him, so they made just some weird.
I thought it was like a rights
player.
issue because I know Michael Jordan. They couldn't put video games in the 90s, so it would always just be Chicago number 50 or whatever.
Yeah, or something like
the
that.
99 overall guy. That's probably him.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, last year, Joe, you were on your high horse with the Clippers too. Didn't you have them in?
I had them in the conference finals.
Did you?
Exactly.
Because Kawhi was healthy for one game.
Are you that high on Kawhi though? Like, he hasn't shown he could do it.
Yeah, at his best, I think he's every bit as good as Kobe at his best.
I agree.
Yeah.
At his best,
man.
he's a top 3, if not top 2 player in the league.
So Kobe's a top 10 player of all time. You're saying if Kawhi put it together his whole career, you're saying that
he would be at that level. Yeah.
I don't know. That's an insult to Kobe Bryant, in my opinion.
It's really not.
I don't know.
That's pretty crazy to me. There's very few players that I put at Kobe Bryant's level. Like you're saying,
what doesn't Kawhi have when he's healthy though that you wouldn't see it?
Yeah, but it's the argument of like, did he do it long enough? And I don't think he did.
No, Kobe's career dwarfs his.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at his best, he's not much off of Kobe.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people you could say that for. Like eventually,
Yeah, absolutely.
We're probably having that.
I think so.
Not a lot, but a few.
A lot.
More than you would think. Like, name someone you think
Devin
that's
Booker
on that
to
level.
him, but I would never say that about Devin Booker to Kobe. Like,
So
I would never
no.
say that.
Let me ask you
Kawhi,
something.
I would.
Are you saying Jalen Brunson's Allen Iverson if he somehow wills this Knicks team to the NBA Finals this year?
No.
Like, I think we're getting a little premature with our assumptions here is all I'm saying. Like,
I mean,
these are guys who put historic NBA careers together, legendary ones. And Kawhi, what he did for the Raptors was unbelievable. What he did for the Spurs before that, two-time NBA champion, right? But
yeah, and Finals MVP.
I don't know.
Allen Iverson got Matt Geiger to the NBA Finals.
Well,
Eric Snow.
Once again,
Eric Snow,
the East
Aaron McKee.
The East wasn't great.
Mutombo, right?
Mutombo was on that team. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Iverson. I would compare Iverson more or less. James Harden is a poor man's Iverson.
I would take Kawhi at his best for a single postseason run over Durant at his best.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think. Durant.
But Kobe, you say no way.
But I don't know. I don't have the biggest opinion on Durant either because he had to go to the Warriors to win an NBA Finals because he couldn't do it with OKC. When I think of like top 10 players, they had the clutch gene. I think that's why like when we talk quarterbacks now, a lot of people, not as many people say Dan Marino's name as they did probably 10 years ago, in my opinion. I remember like when I was a kid and you talk best quarterbacks of all time, Dan Marino's name was instantly thrown out there. And now
we don't see him anymore though. When we were even after he retired, he was everywhere. CBS, selling this. When's the last time you truly saw Dan Marino doing?
What was the movie he was in? Ace Ventura.
Ace Ventura, yeah.
Yeah, but he was still playing during that. So,
but like he disappeared.
How did we get to Dan Marino?
But
I don't know.
Because I'm saying like Durant is a Dan Marino in my opinion. Like,
yeah, I don't count those either. I agree with you.
Numbers wise, he looks great. But I think if you put Durant on the Milwaukee Bucks, he's not winning an NBA Finals.
Yeah, but you put Kawhi in the Milwaukee Bucks, I think they could.
This year, Kawhi Leonard?
No. In 2021 when Giannis won it.
Yeah, he didn't do it long enough. And that's why he won't be considered a top player of all time. I think he'll be looked at as a guy who was very good during the opening stretch of his career, and I think a lot of people will remember him because he's a two-time champion. But I think more people, in my opinion, are going to remember what Kawhi started for the NBA, which was essentially it's okay to do load management. It's okay to say, I have an injury that I can probably play through, but I'm not going to play through it.
I think you're underrating him just a little bit.
I think Kawhi Leonard, the best way to describe him is he's the ultimate guy that did it that could have done so much more. Like, he did win it. He got hurt, but he did win it and stuff, and was at the top of the top.
Yeah.
But he could have been so much more.
Like, he's not a Hall of Famer, in my opinion.
What?
First ballot.
He's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Are you
first
kidding?
ballot?
I don't know about that.
It's just by NBA standards, too.
Yeah, NBA is
absolutely a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Are they
but
easy
even
going?
no,
Like,
even by NFL standards, he's a Hall of Famer. By baseball standard,
no.
If Terrell Davis can get in, Kawhi Leonard.
Eli Manning was not a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's a
Kawhi
two-time
Leonard
champ.
is way better than Eli Manning.
No, Eli Manning's a two-time champion. He finished in the top 10 in passing yards.
Did Kawhi win MVP?
He was second in voting like 2 or 3 times.
Okay,
and Eli was a two-time MVP of the Super Bowl.
So was Kawhi Leonard.
Okay, they have pretty much similar.
When Kawhi won a Super Bowl? What I missed?
That's the NBA NFL argument that
is that NBA Street
Rivers
video
started.
I guess I'm just a little taken aback here. This is where we differ on our Kawhi Leonard opinion. I think you're 30% lower than I am.
Realistically, how long did Kawhi Leonard do it where he was a top player? He
had a legitimate claim
to
being the best player on earth for like a couple of years there.
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah. And he probably did it for
you think 2 years
probably
is
did
enough?
It for that 2-year stretch, and then when he was on Toronto, that 6 months, he was easily the best player on the planet.
Yeah. Him or Durant at that point, I think.
How are we at the point where we have
I said I'd take Kawhi over Durant, so yeah, it would be Kawhi.
Well, how are we at the point where we take a player who has openly said that he doesn't really care for basketball? I'm pretty sure he's been in an interview saying that. And he took a contract with the Clippers and kind of just said, I'm going to take my money. And
he said that?
I think I'll have to look into the interviews, but I feel like he's not like gung-ho about the basketball like Kobe Bryant was. Very few players are. But I'm pretty sure he said that at some point. Listen, good players, average 20 his career. In his best season, he's upper 20s. He's been in the top 10 in the MVP voting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Pretty good. Pretty damn good. Defensive Player of the Year twice. So he's got a lot of accolades.
He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but he could have been. He's not on Kobe's level in terms of accolades, but I did say at his best.
Yeah, but also let me ask you this: even when he was winning with the Spurs and winning with Toronto, he never played a full season for them. What is there? 82 games in an NBA season. The most he's ever played is 74. To me, that just leaves such a poor taste in my mouth. Like, Kobe was the type of guy you had to drag him off the court. Like, for you guys to compare a player who hasn't even played an entire NBA season and has sat out, he had an injury where 21, 22, 22, 23, he only played in 52 games. This year, he only played in 37. The Clippers could have been something special, especially when they brought on Paul George. And, if Harden came in and did what he's supposed to do, this could have been a very good team, and Leonard just wasn't on the court with them. So
it's a product of the times, too.
It is.
It's not really important to play every game anymore.
Which sucks that the NBA has turned into that. And I love watching the NBA even to this day. I'll still watch every playoff game probably that I can. But
it's the same reason they don't try in the All-Star game, because nobody really cares what you do in the regular season.
No.
It's assholes like us is the reason why they're resting, because we don't give them credit for – well, Steve does, but I guess I don't. So I don't know.
I mean, Kobe played in 80.
There's a mid-season tournament now for people to take it seriously.
I forgot who won it, honestly. I know Lakers won last year.
I think Milwaukee won it this year. I think. Don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure it was Milwaukee.
You might be right. It seems like years ago, but I think you're right.
I mean, Kobe's in a different argument for me. I'm counting.
Yeah, he's. I can't compare him to anybody just because he's just
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 times he finished in the top 10 in the MVP voting. I mean, just
I don't even think Kobe's a top 50 player all time, Steve.
Yeah, I would literally
Top
drive over to your
50?
house
No,
right now.
he's easily a top. See, you
Steve,
could make an argument for Kobe not being in the top 10 though.
Nah,
But
Well,
like
there's so many guys now.
exactly, is he a
Nah,
top 10 of his
he's
era?
a top.
Yeah, he's a top 2 if not
Easy
the
top
guy
10.
of his era.
He's top 10 all time. Who are you putting in front of Kobe Bryant?
I'd probably have him like 8 or 9. Like for me, he is.
I don't forget Bob Cousy. Bob Cousy, great basketball player.
It's true. It's true.
Joe, off the top of your head, who's
solid fundamentals?
Eight better players that you're putting in front of Kobe Bryant. We know the
Michael
first
Jordan.
two on your list. Yeah.
Kareem.
You're putting Kareem before LeBron?
No, you said the first 2 players, so I skipped LeBron.
I said first 8. Oh, well, yeah.
Okay, well, I'll spell it. Louis Scola, the ice cream man.
Yes.
Shout out.
Frank Ntilikina, or whatever his name is.
Oh, jeez.
Great international player. He might be a better international player than Kobe.
I don't know. He won a few gold medals.
Yeah, that's true. Ntilikina, lockdown defender in FIBA, though. All right, Jordan, LeBron, Kareem, Magic Johnson, Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, Shaquille O'Neal, Tim Duncan.
That's 8.
No, that's it.
I don't know if I put Tim.
I don't think
I
don't know if you could put Tim Duncan in front of Kobe. Just because Kobe did so much more with the ball than Tim did.
I would say
that's relying on other people.
An age-old argument. I would just.
Absolutely, it is.
I would say most people
hairs.
aren't putting Tim Duncan in their top 10, probably.
And people younger than us are probably putting Curry above Kobe. I don't know if I would, but like he's entered that. Some people would put Larry Bird over Kobe. I wouldn't. Some people would put Hakeem over Kobe. I don't think I would. But I'm saying, like, if you want to put him outside of the top 10, you have to remember, when you count it out, there's a lot of guys sort of filling that space. And if Jokic could win a couple more, who knows? But
do you think, and I hate to bring this up, but do you think him passing away at such an early age amplified who he was as a basketball player?
And that speaks to who he was. Normally it would. Like, Roberto Clemente was humongous when he passed away.
Yeah.
And he became even more. You know,
what
Thurman
about the
Munson.
Yankees catcher, yeah.
Thurman Munson, yeah, same thing. No, man, Kobe Bryant, I don't think he could get much bigger than he was when he passed away.
His retirement tour was crazy. Like every single arena had a 20-minute montage.
Yeah.
You could tell he was like the elder statesman. Like, people were in awe of that guy.
What did he drop his last game? 80? 81?
No, he dropped 81 in the Garden.
60. And ironically, Tim Duncan retired the same year, and no one talked about it, which is perfect because that's Tim Duncan.
There you go, Joe.
I mean, no, that's just how he is.
I'm more upset that we got robbed of what Kobe was going to accomplish post-retirement.
I think he would have coached. I think he would have finally got into it.
WNBA, maybe.
He had so many.
The WNBA. If he got involved in that, could have really been something. Like, I mean, you
Bill
can even see, like,
former men's players.
Yeah.
Good coaches.
Well, even at college, his daughters were like basically there's Gigi's UConn team.
Yeah.
Like, isn't she like quote an honorary teammate or something of this group that was there?
Well, she was supposed to be a freshman this year.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
We got stripped of that too. I mean, it's a life at the end of the day. So, but
absolutely. But I don't think he got bigger, and I don't think he could have gotten any bigger, man.
No. But it's the same thing. Like,
he was a great podcast guest. I don't know. It sounds selfish because it's just stuff for me to consume.
Not
but
for us.
Some of my favorite episodes were him on All That Smoke.
All the Smoke with Matty Barnes,
and
Steven Jacks.
Yeah. And Knuckleheads with Quinn Richardson and...
Is that RJ?
No, that's a different one. Yeah, there's so many now.
Yeah.
Myles something, but yeah.
Myles Turner?
Yeah, Dan Marino, though.
Yeah, Dan Marino.
Hell of a quarterback.
Let's transition. I got another team that could they be blown up if they don't make it past this round? The Nuggets. Any shot now that their coach is fired? Like, are they going to move on from Jokic?
No chance. He's there for life.
It's up to Jokic.
Yeah,
Jokic
I think
might
he's there
retire.
more though.
Why
Exactly.
would Jokic retire?
He doesn't
You
want
talk
to
about Kawhi not caring about basketball. Jokic just
Yeah.
wants to bet on horse races in Serbia.
Hey, if you're making enough
That's it.
money off that, more
Yeah.
power to you.
Yeah.
Well, actually, owning horses, not betting on it. Well,
Yeah,
both,
he
maybe.
owns them. Yeah.
There's a lot of money in horse racing. He's actually
Yeah.
being smart with that adventure. But you really think there's a chance Jokic, who's 30 years old, could retire?
No, it might just be more of a joke, but he just has that affectation that like basketball is like the third most important passion that he has.
I'd be shocked if he's playing at 35.
You think so?
Yeah.
So you buy into that?
Absolutely.
Because his game would age. Like he could play the same exact way at 38. Like he doesn't run.
I think he's gone at 35. He's going to do what he wants, and then he's not going to have fun. Does he have kids yet?
I don't know.
Kids in a family?
I don't think
As
so.
soon as that happens, give him 3 years, and I think he'll be out. And we will legit never see him again.
No, you'll see him on like a grainy YouTube video. Like,
Yeah.
with like a horse carriage or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll come maybe back to America maybe 10 times the rest of his life.
Back to America.
Yeah.
Is that a movie?
It is. It's phenomenal.
Eddie Murphy?
Eddie Murphy, yeah.
Good movie. When Simeon Wilcher from St. John's, he's actually in the portal now, but when he committed to St. John's, he played a clip from that movie. You know, the
Did
one
he?
where they're picking where they should go, and it lands on Queens. That's a good scene.
That is pretty good.
Anything else on the NBA? I think we hit most of the opening playoff series talk. There was something I wanted to mention to you guys.
You want to break down Memphis's chances at home?
John Morant. Actually, John Morant got some good news, so he might come back. So the judge dropped the suit against Morant, cites self-defense. So maybe he's feeling a little more at ease going into this next game. He's got to be happy that's off his back. And maybe we'll see a few more shooting celebrations from him now that it's behind him.
He's getting creative. I like it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hey.
just do the whole bow and arrow thing.
If you can't laugh
Pretty
about
funny.
it, then
True.
why do it?
He's gone from pistols to assault rifles to grenades. So why not go back to the basics?
Grenades, Jersey Shore
Totally natural.
grenades.
Yeah.
You remember that?
That's a first
Yeah.
reference of that I've heard in like a decade.
Yeah, that used to be so big.
It
when
was.
when we were in college. I think
GTL,
it was
bro.
huge.
Yeah.
GTL.
Gym Tan Laundry. What's the modern Gym
I'm
Tan
clearly
laundry?
missing one of those.
The modern Gym Tan laundry. Ugh.
Is there anything that matches GTL?
No.
I'm
Never
definitely
will.
missing. I'm definitely missing the tanning part. But
Yeah.
That's all year for you, though.
yeah, I know. I'm
If
just
there's
naturally
anybody,
gone.
if there's anyone you're like, it's Trump because you get orange.
It's funny.
Now, is that coming from
Um,
you? Is that a compliment? I don't know.
You get a little bit.
Steve,
of
let's
orange
speak on your
color
political views in depth.
in depth. It depends on the week. It
That's
depends
what
on
our
the week. for me.
audience. That's what our audience wants to hear.
I never want a podcast that gets too political. That's for sure. Let's talk about this though. Just to get away from NBA, I did have something I wanted to discuss. So I don't know if you saw this. So that Nico Amaliba, I don't know how to say his name, the quarterback of Tennessee, went to UCLA, and I guess he was about to start spring practices, and they started going into negotiations because apparently he wants $4 million, and Tennessee's already given him like $2 million, and he ends up leaving, going home to UCLA. Apparently, his brother, who's incoming freshman, signs with Arkansas during commitment day, which I think was back in December, and now it sounds like he collected his NIL money, and then he left the school, entered the transfer portal, and now he's going to be with his brother Nico. So this is Madden, who's supposed to be a freshman, and now he committed to UCLA as the backup to his brother. So this is where we're at with NIL, where it's starting to become an issue because you don't have written contracts for these guys. Yes, they X out of their NIL deal, but we've been talking about should these guys sign a 2-year deal? Should they sign a 3-year deals? Like, what is out of hand? To me, a player to never play a snap on the field and collect NIL money is kind of out of hand to me, and we just saw it this week. So Arkansas is coming back. The Arkansas Collective wants at least 200K from the player back. I don't know what his NIL contract was. I'm assuming it was more than 200K. To me, it's a little fair if you never played a snap at a school and you're going to go collect another NIL. Some people making the argument, didn't your parents tell you to collect as much money as possible early, whatever that is? To me, there's a sense of loyalty to a program that we don't see in college football anymore, and it's a shame that it's coming down to this because I think school traditions will die because of NIL, and only the powerhouses will be able to entertain these guys moving forward. But what's your thoughts on what happened with the freshman brother, him committing to Arkansas, which was in the SEC? He was going to face his brother at Tennessee. Once his brother leaves for UCLA, he collects his paycheck and leaves also.
That's a breach of contract, even if it's. I mean, number one, there's no way that's not in writing somehow, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what I was gonna say. If it's not in writing, then good on the kid.
if there's $200,000 in the line, I have a hard time believing there's no trail at all. And even if it's not, you could still, if it's an, even if it's, because people have been sued over verbal agreements and handshakes. Like $200,000 is crazy. He's stealing money. I
Yeah.
must be missing something because I don't know the whole thing, but that sounds nuts.
Well, I'm curious too. Like, say you get a new job and for 2 weeks you do training. Like, I guess it's a little different because you're not getting your full NIL payment, but you're still getting a paycheck from that company because you did training and then you're moving on. And you never like went behind the computer. You were never a big contributor to your company, but you're going to get a paycheck for
I'm
that
still
training
not.
period. Yeah, but like this guy, like
Yep.
I'm pretty sure he was doing spring practices. I don't know. They might have had a spring game. I don't know if Arkansas did that. Some teams are opting against it, but he did a little bit for for the program, and then he
Yeah.
left. So like I don't know if that factors in too. Like, did you sign? Like, did Arkansas screw themselves in that NIL deal? Did they say you instantly get this money? Like, there's a lot of what ifs, but I don't know. Like, I guess we could have a discussion of like what NIL is becoming,
It's the
and
wild, wild west.
it is.
Like you
Yeah,
can literally do anything. I hate to say this because I'm so anti this solution, but there needs to be some type of government national guardrails. Like the NCAA they're inept now when it comes to this stuff. There needs to be something from Congress or something that basically states how they do it. Because if not, it's just going to continue because the states are never going to agree. Like you're going to have Texas paying someone $10 million where UConn can only afford, $3 million, and UConn's doing it the right way, where the Texas guys would just show up and leave. There needs to be contracts, like basically like a minor league system, especially in football. Like, okay, you can't go to the draft until what, you're a third year player, either redshirt sophomore or junior at the earliest.
in football.
So
Yeah,
why can't we have these schools doing 2 or 3 year contracts? You breach the contract, not only you either sit a year and you can play, or no, you just lose your money right away. Yes, we're paying you 2 years for $7.5 million, say, or $7 million. You want to leave after the first year, that's fine. But since you're breaching the contract, we get all the money back, not just the year. And you can go sign anywhere else, but you're not getting our money, their money, transferring the next year, getting money from it. That stuff's got to stop. Because,
yeah.
like Steve said, even though we're losing the heart and soul of the game, like, no one cares about that. They just want to, number one, they want to bet and make money. Two, they want their team to win. Steve, congrats again, by the way,
What's that?
for 2 years ago.
Uh, yeah.
I'm sorry, this year really wasn't the best, but
hey,
For him it was the one game that mattered.
Yeah, that is true. You guys did win the big one.
The best part about that was Michigan beats Ohio State, and Ohio State fan says the season doesn't matter. Even if we go on a run in the playoffs and win the championship, it doesn't matter. After that game, that's what they said. But then they go on a run and win the championship, and they all say the game doesn't matter. I'm like, you guys are the ones that in August, your players are sitting there saying we have the game circled on our calendars, and then the week leading up when we're saying none of our guys are playing, and most of our guys went to the draft last year because they had 14 guys enter the NFL. It's like we're saying that this game just doesn't have the fair advantage this year. Although Ohio State fans are coming after Michigan guys and saying, "Oh, all of a sudden it doesn't matter to you." It's like pick a lane that you want to travel in. But yes, thank you. I will forever hold on to that championship.
I know you will.
There's very few times teams that I root for win a championship. I've seen 2 from the Giants, and that is it. Finito. The Knicks haven't won in the longest time. The Rangers won in '94, but I was not old enough to remember that championship. And the Mets haven't won since '86. So whatever I get is
St. John's.
No matter how much my team had to pay, no matter how many people we had to film in the bathroom talking about which defensive coverage we're going to run on 3rd and 5 in
they all do it.
Community school.
It Patriots did for 20 years. That's what winners do. That's what winners do.
And also the NCAA is a joke now. Nobody takes the NCAA seriously.
Nobody.
And they will not come after one of the most historic teams of all time that gets them so much money. And that's why the Big Ten retreated too, in my opinion, because Michigan will come out and say the Big Ten is not backing us up, and they will say they will leave this conference, and they don't care because they will still make their money every single year at the Big House because they have the biggest football stadium in all of sports probably. So
they threw the book at Ohio State. What was it, like a decade ago?
Yeah,
right? Jim Tressel, Maurice Clarett. Yeah.
No postseason. I forget what they did, but it was no postseason for 2 years, and they went undefeated, I think, which makes it more painful. Which I'm sure you're sad about, but
we'll see.
Why is it always the Big Ten schools that get screwed? That always get caught? Like besides USC, Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan.
I think
people in the SEC keep their mouths shut.
That's exactly what it is. There's too much
Southern fraternity.
It's a good old boy network.
Yep.
Boy network.
You hear like even in like the Netflix documentary, they're like, oh yeah, we always give signs to each other. Like we talk before the games the week of. It's like there's so much trust between the Big Ten schools. It's weird almost. And that's how they got caught because a lot of people didn't like that Michigan was all of a sudden back on top. And I to this day,
everybody hated Jim Harbaugh too. Everybody hates that.
I don't understand it. He's like one of the most likable guys out there. Like, how can you not like his sense of humor that he has? It's just like it's like dad joke central, and ours. Don't kids like dad jokes?
If he was the Ohio State head coach, you'd talk yourself into hating him.
He's a lunatic, but in the most endearing, good way possible.
I hate Ryan Day.
Ultimate football guy possible. I'm not a big Ryan Day fan.
Ryan Day sucks.
His beard makes me cringe. I don't know. Just something weird about it.
He cries every time he loses to Michigan. It's fantastic. I will always
listen. Anybody that goes after poor old
him and Mike Woodson had the weirdest beards I've ever seen.
Mike Woodson. Oh, man. That guy.
Oh, man. NIL, though. Michigan.
Yeah, I hate it. But it is a necessary evil, unfortunately.
It'll even out.
Yeah, it has to.
Well, some people have talked about contracts. Some people have talked about with everybody leapfrogging every year that maybe we go back to our old ways where if you transfer once, you can't – if you transfer a second time – you have to sit out that year, and that will make people stay at the schools and honor their contracts because nobody's sitting out longer than they have to because the whole idea at this point, and maybe NIL's kind of crushing this too because some guys are going to make more in college than they'll make at the professional ranks. But, I mean, the whole point of playing college is so that you can do a fast track to the NFL or the NBA or whatever sport you're playing. And unfortunately, we're getting into this weird phase where like the guys who are on the fast track, like we just saw Ace Bailey from Rutgers say he's entering the draft. I mean, Cooper Flagg's entering the draft. Like those guys had dominant freshman years. I don't know about Ace Bailey, but he was good enough, and people are going to draft him on his ceiling. But Cooper Flagg was fantastic. Like those guys can leave after their freshman year and get drafted lottery picks. But we're in this weird like happy medium where it's like guys are going to leave after their freshman year who are good enough to do it. And then you're going to have those journeyman college players who are going to play 5, 6, 7 years or whatever they allow these guys to do, like Hunter Dickerson, where like you can't get rid of these guys because they're just good enough to be in a starting five for their whole career, but they're not good enough to go to the NBA. So they're kind
Bo
of
Nix would have made $50 million playing college football for as long as he did.
I mean, he's pretty damn good in the NFL too. Which I didn't think it was going to translate over to the NFL, but
I think Bo Nix made more money in college than Sam Bradford made in the NFL, and that's saying something.
And Sam Bradford was probably better at Oklahoma, right, than Bo Nix was in college.
Absolutely.
Although Sam Bradford's the reason they have rookie caps for quarterbacks, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Him and Stafford, I think, was the last guy that got paid off as a rookie.
I mean, none of the quarterbacks in this year's drafts are breaking any barriers, so this is a bad draft, but we'll probably recap that next
Kyle
week.
McCord.
Yeah.
Kyle McCord. We talked about that on the last episode.
Yes.
Yeah. I have to throw his name out there every episode. Yeah, I believe.
Mike is the biggest fan of Kyle McCord. He's been talking about him since day one. I don't know how I feel.
Well, he's an Ohio State guy. You know how you feel.
I mean, I like him on Syracuse. I like the pissed off Kyle McCord who said, "You're not going to guarantee me the starting job even after I had a decent season."
Yeah.
That Kyle McCord I like. I don't like the one on Ohio State.
I'd say it worked out for both parties.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Ohio State wasn't winning the championship with McCord last year, but
maybe.
I don't know. I liked who they had better. Howard. What's his first name again?
Yeah.
Will
Howard.
Is it
yeah. Will Howard?
Well, so I know a lot of people are giving Will Howard shit because he looked terrible during his combine. But if you watched him during every game of the playoff, including the championship game, he was throwing dimes. He was spot on. So if you get that Will Howard in the NFL, maybe you get a good quarterback. So, but not a deep class. Once again, we'll talk about it more next week. Any closing thoughts from you guys? Anything on your minds this week? Do we want to talk about the Mets win streak?
I was going to say, good for them, man. The Mets, the pitching is there. Even today, when it got a little shaky in the end, like Francisco Lindor, congrats, my friend.
First ballot Hall
on
Famer.
Learning that the season starts on April 1st, not July 1st.
Hey, good
Are
for
you a Yankees fan?
I am a Yankees fan. Yeah.
I can tell by the tone.
But no, I love this Mets team.
I know.
I do.
I would like to say,
really, really do.
I would like to say to all you Yankee fans, including Mike, if he listens to this episode, and yourself, John, that I was right about Volpe, and I will never let you guys live that down because he is not turning it around offensively, and I am ready. I hate to say it, and I'm not a Yankee fan, but I'm ready to give up on Volpe offensive wise. Or offensively. That's not a word, offensive-wise.
Can he be, at this point, can Volpe be a serviceable 10 to 12-year baseball player? Yes. But is Anthony Volpe going to be the next guy for the Yankees? No.
No.
It looks more and more as people are throwing 95 miles an hour above his hands and he swings through it. I'm pretty sure I just saw him. Yep, he just did it again. That he's great fielder.
Yeah.
But he's never going to be what people thought he was going to be. And I think, again, that has to go to the fans for getting way ahead of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you guys have known that, but Yankee fans seem to get way ahead of themselves.
New York, you mean New York in general? New York media and fans. Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, if you told me Anthony Volpe had a 11-year career, hit 260, yeah, I'd take that because, you don't need your shortstop to be the greatest player in the world.
Ray Ordonez.
Now, Yeah, I mean, if
If
you
you
told
remember
me
him,
that, I do. One of
he
the best
stuck
fielding
around.
shortstops of all time.
He stuck around because of his glove. I mean, I think Volpe's a little better of a hitter than
Yeah, yeah,
Ordonez,
yeah, yeah.
but still, like
I,
he
it's
made a
just
career.
it explains to the bigger problem with the Yankees is we're never gonna know if these prospects they get could have been better because they never developed them.
Yeah,
Like
I
Wells is starting to be bad now.
that's
Volpe's what
it's
he
across
is,
the
I
league
think.
though.
Judge is the only guy.
Rice maybe
Yeah.
this year.
Who?
Rice, maybe you see a good player out of him.
I don't want to say anything. I didn't want
Yeah,
you to bring
that's
him
too.
up. I don't want to jinx it. Did not want to jinx it.
The one thing I will say, like ideally, the Volpe story sounded great. Like
Yeah, it always does.
the kid who went to Del Barton was this Italian, came from this Italian great family. Grew up a Yankee fan. Rose through the minors pretty quick. I remember when the Yankees told him he was making it to the major leagues. It was a pretty cool video. It just seems like a guy that you want to root for. Really, just a great personality actually,
Mhm.
and somebody who seems like an awesome clubhouse guy. But the thing is, it's just not translating, and I don't know if it's because it's talent or I don't know if he's letting the pressure get to him. I think it's a little mixture of both. I don't know if he got drafted in the first round. I remember that much. I don't know if he was ever the great hitter that we thought he was. But I mean, the glove's great. You'll take that. But in a lineup where Goldschmidt's luckily hitting 350 something, but like in a lineup
Yeah.
where a bunch of other guys are struggling right now. I mean, Jazz has a one something average with seven
Mhm.
homers. That's the weirdest line I've seen all season. But like even like Bellinger hasn't been hitting. You brought up Wells hasn't been hitting. A bunch of other guys haven't been hitting. You kind of needed Volpe to take the next step, and you were kind of even banking on Volpe to take the next step. So, what's the next move for the Yankees? Like, do you keep throwing Volpe out there, hoping that his bat eventually comes around, or do you take that guy that you guys are high on, that you keep bringing up to me, and fast track him to the majors and hope that he works out? Like, what is the move?
They're gonna ride him, man. I mean, they rode Sanchez for as long as they did,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just like Cashman's thing. Like he's gonna ride these guys until their value is either shot or they produce.
Yeehaw, cowboy! They're riding him.
Yeah, I just, and I don't want to say it because, like you said, like you say, Volpe, he's a he's a nice kid, but I feel like that's what he's a kid.
Yeah,
Like
he's young still.
he's how long are we gonna say that?
Yeah,
He's 25. Like, come on, man.
20,
Like,
20 yeah.
don't want to say grow up because
This
you're an
day and
adult
age,
man,
yeah,
but
it's
come
time.
on, let's
It's
go.
it's time. It's time for
Yeah,
him to do something.
yeah.
I want to bring up some names to you. Um, Kranick, Brazoban, Budo, Diaz, Minter, Garrett, Stanek, Young. Uh,
Is this
that's
the Mets bullpen?
formed the best bullpen in baseball. That is.
Yeah.
And like, how many of those names do most casual MLB players, I mean, watchers know? Maybe Diaz. Definitely Diaz, just because of his walkout
I
song.
knew all of those names.
Yes, Joe definitely knew it. AJ
How
Minter.
long? How long until Hefner becomes a household name like Lee Mazzilli and the likes of?
He's perfect
Because
as a pitching coach. I don't
yeah.
know. Like, they're going to try to force this managerial thing on him eventually, and he probably will take it just because the money. And
Oh, and I
may,
said Mazzilli. I meant Mazzoni. My bad. Mazzilli was a great first baseman for the Mets.
I hope Hefner is with the Mets forever. Just what he's doing, and Stearns, talent evaluator, brought in these guys, and Hefner's finishing the job. But we saw it with Sean Manaea last year. I mean, I was so against Griffin Canning, that signing, because he had a 5.19 ERA last year, and I think that may have been the highest among starters who qualified. Um, and he just hasn't been that great in his whole career. He had one good season for the Angels, and all of a sudden he has a 3.12 ERA this season with the Mets. I mean, David Peterson's past two seasons speak for themselves. Clay Holmes, the fact that looks incredible as a starter, 3.16 ERA, and he's making that Seth Lugo jump. He's making that Michael King jump, where you're leaving the bullpen and you're becoming a starter. I questioned it at first.
How many innings do you want him to throw
Um,
before the playoffs?
Before the playoffs, you probably want him tops 175, probably more closer to 150, right?
I wouldn't go that. I'd say 150 at the absolute most.
Yeah.
Because come playoff time too, are you going to use him as a starter, or are you going to use him as the 3 to 4 inning guy where you can get time and a half through multiple times in a series?
Well, you know what the lifesaver is here. So he's at 25.2 innings, 25 and 2/3 innings.
Mm-hmm.
I think they will keep Trevor McGill on the roster, but also when Frankie Montez and Sean Manaea comes back, there's going to be a 6-man rotation, especially with your 5-man rotation of Peterson, Canning, Holmes, McGill, and Senga going off.
Yep. Or a phantom DL stint. I'm sorry, IL stint.
Yeah. Who are you taking out of that equation?
I'm going 6-man.
I will say this. So Alonso has been one of the best hitters in baseball to start the season. I posed this question, and I asked a buddy this morning, and I won't talk too long about baseball because I know Joe starts to tune out a little bit. But Alonso, the signing of him being...
We're talking about torpedo bats.
Yes.
Yes.
For Volpe, it worked for 1 week about.
Not even a game.
Yeah. But Alonso, what he means to the clubhouse is just as much as what he's producing on the field, in my opinion. And I think they're really fortunate to have him back. I will show you this graphic, which is crazy because Lindor in 1 calendar year has the highest WAR in the NL. He has an 8.6. Ohtani's 8.3. But this was weird to me, and let me know if you can see this.
I saw that too.
That I don't understand it because like I said, it's 1 good week of Anthony Volpe versus several good weeks of Francisco Lindor, where Lindor leads in hits, home runs. Volpe actually hasn't beat in RBIs, but Lindor leads off. Volpe hasn't beat in stolen bases. Lindor has a 301 average compared to 209 from Volpe. On base percentage goes to Lindor. Slugging goes to Lindor. OPS goes to Lindor. OPS plus goes to Lindor. I just don't understand how Volpe has a higher WAR than Lindor.
So I read a stat today that Brett Gardner had a higher career WAR than Don Mattingly. And I basically, at that moment, said WAR is not. It factors in just so much other. Show me OPS plus.
Yeah.
And show me what you did for your team and how much you meant to your team.
Did he ride a horse around a baseball diamond?
No, but Wade Boggs did in 1996.
Yeah.
Fuck. Did he have a mustache too?
Yeah, Wade Boggs had one. A goatee, right?
No, he had a mustache. It was
Don Mattingly retired the year before they won, right?
Yeah, 95.
Okay. That's my baseball. I didn't even get the guy right.
Joe, you know the older baseball players. I know that for sure.
I know more players on the 98 Yankees than I know on the Mets this year.
Name me the 98 Yankees, Joe. Go.
I don't need to do shit for you.
You just said you. I probably can name most of them.
Paul O'Neill, Tino Martinez,
okay.
Chuck Knoblauch, David Wells, David Cohn, Andy Pettit, Derek Jeter.
Okay. Who was third base?
Bernie Williams. Alfonso Soriano, was he on the team?
No, not yet.
No.
2001.
Jorge Posada. I mean, God, that's more than I can name for the Mets.
Give me the third baseman. Initials SB.
I couldn't even tell you where third base is. No, I'm just telling you. Wait,
Did
what?
you name? You named Posada. If I give you
baseman.
If I give you the first name, do you think you can get it?
Yeah, probably.
Scott.
Brocious?
Yes.
Yeah.
Look at him.
Yeah.
You named Bernie Williams,
we'll
right?
Go, Brian Bowringer, Graham Lloyd.
Bernie Williams played the guitar in the locker room. I remember that.
You got to listen to Paul O'Neill anytime he tells a Bernie Williams story, because they're the 2 most complete opposite people.
Yeah,
but they were
Bernie
best
Williams
friends.
was a hippie, right?
Bernie Williams would be sleeping 3 minutes before the game would start. Torrey would tell O'Neill to go get Bernie, wake his ass up. Bernie would be snoring. O'Neill would be like, "Hey, we got a game," and Bernie would be like, "Oh, okay." And then he would just go out and go 2 for 3 with a home run, 3 RBIs, and play great center field.
Oh, Mariano Rivera. He was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yes.
I forgot.
He was pretty good.
Too.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
All right. Mendoza? Was Mendoza on that team?
Miro Mendoza, I think, was still on the 98 team at that time, yes.
Nelson?
Jeff Nelson, I think, came in 99?
Yeah.
Or he might have been there in 98.
Did you ever...
I mixed up Wade Boggs and Don Mattingly, so that wipes everything else out.
Strawberry was already gone, right?
No, Strawberry was. I don't think Strawberry was there in 98. I'm pretty sure he was there in 99 and 2000.
David Justice.
2000.
Ricky Henderson.
No, that was Mets.
Ricky Leday.
Ricky Leday.
No, Ricky Henderson was on the Yankees for a little bit.
He was actually.
Yeah.
I don't remember the years, but I know for sure.
Chad Curtis.
Jack Curtis, yeah.
Louis Soho.
What's it called? Did you read Joe Torre's book?
Which one?
Was there one that was just called Torre or something?
I don't think I read that one. I think I read another one.
So there was a chapter. I don't know what season it was. It was a year that they won the World Series. That they won a bunch in the late '90s. I know.
Yeah.
But they were talking about Paul O'Neill, where it was. Was it '97? No. What year did they play the Indians in the ALCS?
97. And the lost or won?
Did they must have lost then because they lost in 97, right?
Yes.
All right, maybe it was the year they lost, but
they beat the Indians in the 1998 ALCS in 6 games.
Maybe it was at 98 then.
Okay.
So they were struggling. I think they may have lost like a game or two early on in the series. Mm-hmm. And Torre came back to the team, and I guess they had an off day the next day. And he was like, just take the whole day off. Don't even practice. Take your mind off baseball. And apparently Paul O'Neill was such a head case that his wife went and either met Torre outside of the locker room or something and said, can Paul come in tomorrow and hit in the cage? He really needs to. And Torre was like, all right, I'm just going to let Paul O'Neill do it.
I could see that.
So I thought that was an awesome story.
Paul O'Neill is a head case.
Absolute nut job.
He won. So
yeah. Great for baseball. Love the guy, actually.
I think he got a little greedy with that deep fly ball in the 5th inning of Game 7 of the 2000 World Series. He tried to turn into a triple, and I'll always remember that. And that's a dumb play.
Yeah.
That series didn't go Game 7.
Yeah, it did. Oh, 2001. 2001. Sorry.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry.
I was going to say, 2000 was the Subway Series. We don't talk about that, though.
Yeah. That was my first year I switched to the Mets, so that was a good start.
Switch hitter, huh?
Yeah. There's pictures of me in the 90s at a Yankees game wearing Yankees gear. But
your dad's a freaking Mets fan. It's terrible.
Well, I think it was you that convinced me.
There we go. I convinced a few people. It's that Mets fandom. It runs deep. One of the most passionate fan bases. You can't even say anything about that because it's true.
Yeah. I mean, do you see today? Well, most unemployed. The place was sold out on a Wednesday.
Yeah. I could never think of doing that, but
no.
Hey, if you can do it.
I turned on the game for a hot second. I'm like, what is this, a Saturday afternoon?
Yeah.
It's the week after Easter. Some people
probably a lot
extended.
of people going to school, but the place was damn near sold out.
When they're winning every game.
It's a party, man.
Yeah. It's great. And even last season with like Grimace and the Rally Pimp and all these other crazy things.
But it's always something.
Yeah.
I'm just glad this year that something is them just winning.
Winning, yeah. Hey, anyway to get them to the finish line.
They had the trumpet, right?
That was 2 years ago,
2 years
maybe?
ago?
Yeah,
it wasn't last year, I don't think.
Yeah, they actually had Timmy Trumpet play for the Mets.
Yeah.
He was hurt last year?
No, it wouldn't have been 2 years ago because
no, it was 3 years ago.
It would have been 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Because last year he was good, but it definitely wasn't the Trumpet year. 2 years ago was the Scherzer Verlander year where they traded both of them, and they were pretty bad that year. I think it was the year before that when they won like 100 and something games and lost to the Padres in the first round. I think it was
nothing though beats their something of 2000, where it's Game 3, Shea Stadium. You got Al Leiter warming up, throwing right in front of the dugout, and who's performing right in front of him? The Baja Men, and who let the dogs out?
That was huge.
God.
There was two big songs for like
That's a bop.
that 99-2000 team. It was Who Let the Dogs Out. They always played, and there was also that
Mojo
Doors,
Rising.
Yeah, the Doors, right?
Yeah.
What song is that, by the way? Mr. Mojo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great
I
song.
don't remember what song.
LA Woman?
It's either
Yeah,
LA.
I think
has
it
to
might
be
have been LA Woman.
I think it's
Yeah.
LA Woman.
That was a
And then-
Robin Ventura request, by the way,
Robbie.
when they used to
Great,
play that
beautiful swing.
song. Terrible
And then
fight.
and then what? And then what? 2004 to 2007 was the Gasolina years, where they were just so bad, signing everybody from the Dominican that could like swing a bat because they were so cash strapped.
That's a sound strategy though.
Delgado, Beltran.
Good work.
Andy
No,
Chavez.
before that, I'm talking like Andy Chavez,
That was the Beltran.
Enrique Wilson.
Delgado. Paul
Was
LaDuca.
Delgado there at that time during
Yeah.
the Gasolina years?
The
Early
2000
Jose Reyes.
He was definitely there for 2005. Delgado. That was the year. That was my. So definitely, I want to restate that I was a Mets fan way before that moment that we talked about last week. Is I remember taping every single Mets game in 1998 and like a freak watching them again after I taped them. That was when they had like. They had several.
Big Todd Pratt guy.
Yeah, Todd Pratt was the man. It's a shame that he got injured and then they picked up Piazza and made him a bench player. But I'll never apologize for taking Mike Piazza because he became my favorite player of all time. But yeah, I mean, 2005 was the year where
He had a mustache.
Piazza definitely had a mustache.
Oh, yes, he did.
I
He looked
was
like a pizza maker.
I was him for Halloween one year, and I painted on the mustache. I have a picture of that.
Did you play him as good as Ventura did during that rain delay?
Oh my God, that's classic.
So great, so great.
Was that the same one where he slid on the tarp?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
That was great. Those were the years. Hopefully they're back. But reminiscing's over. I guess we'll close it out. Good episode, boys. Next week will be more NFL talk. Probably we're gonna have to talk NBA because it's gonna be heating up soon. It is already starting to heat up. So NFL and NBA.
Probably game 6s and game 7s.
Yeah.
Next week.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
And then the following round.
Yeah.
Then it'll speed up.
Yeah. We'll definitely
every other day after that.
We'll have to talk about it. But in the meantime, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all the good places. We have an Instagram account. We have a Twitter account that we don't really use much. We probably should use it more often. But keep tagging along, keep listening, keep watching if you're watching us. That sounded creepy. But we'll be back next week with all your sports talk. Until next time, I'm not going to let Joe have the glory of closing us out with some theoretical nuclear bomb story, but
it's not theoretical, it's a real thing.
All right, until next week,
go
peace.
Blue Leafs.